Hello, welcome to another episode of Think About It, where we discuss important issues. My name is Rick, and I have with me here Edris.
Hello, everybody.
Yes. We are continuing our podcast on singleness to maybe I do. And this is step six, right?
Yes,
step
sir.
6, which is what?
Engagement.
So we've been through a lot of stuff in the last few podcasts. You can check them out. We talk about the different being single, looking for someone, being in the courtship. That was the last one we talked about, right?
Yeah, courtship.
The do's and don'ts of courtship. And today we are talking about the engagement, meaning you've seen the girl, you already talked to the parents, you've done all the footwork necessary, you already talked to the Lord, and now you're saying, man, I want to take the next step.
Yes. So the step that we're talking about is engagement, and people have to understand when we get to engagement what that means, right? When you engage, right? In a sense, another word for engagement is you can also use is commitment. Is knowing that, okay, I'm making this decision now to move forward with this person who I've been courting, who I've been getting to know, who I've been wowing, and that also been wowing me as well.
Yes.
Now, everything is going well. All the things that I'm learning about the person, all the boxes are being checked. I'm basically trusting that person more to the point where I'm like, okay, you know what? We can have a good future together. Now we're gonna take that next step. We're gonna get engaged.
Because we're talking like in a Christian setting, that word commitment is a very serious word for our day and age. People are fearful of that word.
People are very fearful. You'll see that. That's why you see sometimes you see people. They'll live together for 6, 7+ years. They even have a bunch of children.
Yeah.
They're like, why don't you guys get married? Nah. Because the first thing they think about, if I'm married to this person now, I have to commit. But I'm like, you're already committing. You got kids, you live together already. Even though it's that's not the proper way of doing things, but still. Won't you just make it, invite God in it now and get married?
For some reason, psychologically, it appears to be like a big step. This is why the way of God, God gave us a different way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you you're courting the person for like a year or so, right?
The courtship.
Yeah.
Well, the courtship process is, it shouldn't be more than 2 years.
Okay, so like a year or 2 years or whatsoever, and now you're saying like you're saying the person meet all the criterias I want in a spouse. Why not take that next step?
It's funny that you say that, right? Because I read somewhere, right? It says, actually, we talked about this because we had the quotation. It says, not 1 in 100 marriages ended in happiness, right? Happily. Meaning is that, what percentage that is, right? That's less than...
That's real low.
Very low. That's less than 1% of marriages, don't end up in happiness. And why do you think that is? It's because people are not following the instructions of God. People are doing these things how they feel like it should be done, how they want, and they never really truly attain or get the joy, the little piece of heaven on earth that they could gain from having a beautiful marriage that reflects God's character.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about engagement, right? Moving to our topic, engagement. So engagement is a commitment, right? Knowing that, okay, now I am getting myself ready to commit to that person for life, which means that there is no looking back. Now I'm looking forward. I'm committing to that person for life. Now, I want to read this quote real quick for you. It's from the book Messages to Young People, page 450, paragraph 2. It says, "The youth trust altogether too much to impulse. They should not give themselves away too easily, nor be captivated too readily by the viewing exterior of the lover. Courtship as carried on in this age is a scheme of deception and hypocrisy, which means the enemy of souls has far more to do than the Lord. Good common sense is needed here, if anywhere, but the fact is that it has little to do in the matter." I think that's the wrong quotation.
But I actually like this quotation. He says that the youth trust altogether too much on impulses, right?
Yeah.
That you shouldn't give yourself away too easily. Meaning that in courtship, you have to be like, we talk about it all the time. You have to be really watchful.
Yeah,
that you are not deceiving, especially when you're going to be engaged with someone.
Engagement, yeah.
You don't want it to be the wrong person, even though you can break it in engagement at different times.
We'll talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, but you have to make sure that I'm taking this. This is the right person to be taking that decision with.
Of course.
Yeah.
And the real quote I wanted to read is Adventist Home, page 44, paragraph 1. It says that only few, right, have the correct views of the marriage relation. Many seem to think that it is the attainment of perfect bliss. But if they could know 1/4 of the heartaches of men and women that are bound by the marriage vow and chains that they cannot dare not break, they would not be surprised that I trace these lines. Marriage, in a majority of cases, is a most galling yoke.
Whoa.
There are thousands that are mated but not matched. The books of heavens are burdened with the woes, the wickedness, and the abuse that lie hidden under the marriage mantle. So reason why I bring this quotation, right? It's like sometimes when people are in a courtship, right, or even when they get to that engagement step, they're thinking, you know what? Now that I'm in the engagement, I just need to hold on and move quickly to that next step, and then I'm gonna attain perfect bliss. Once I'm married, oh man, it's straight up happiness from here on out.
That's a lie. That's a lie.
That is not the case. That is not the case. That is not the case at all. In fact, according to this quote, a lot of people in marriages are suffering.
Yeah.
Because they moved too hastily. They didn't ask the right questions during the courtship and also during the engagement.
Yeah.
Which is what we're going to talk about. Some of the questions that we should ask ourselves when we get to the point of engagement before we even move forward to that next step, which is marriage.
That quotation right here, man, is very serious. I mean, there's this part of the quotation that she says, marriage in the majority of cases is a most galling yoke. When you hear somebody speaking about something, right, and they're saying like the majority of something is very difficult.
It is.
You have to start thinking. You know what I'm saying? Be like, okay, if the majority of people are going through difficulties, what is different about me that will cause me to avoid the situation, right? So you really have to pay attention. Okay, you know what do I need to know in order not to be a statistics, in order not to be a victim of these difficulties?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, man, I really love this conversation about the relationship aspect, because we're trying to show people that marriage is not something you just rush into.
No, not at all.
It's a divine institution.
Yes.
And like all divine institutions, unless you are walking by the way of the Lord and with the Lord, it's gonna be tough.
And that's why. And that's why if you and I hope if you are watching this video and you didn't get a chance to watch all the previous videos, that you can go back and watch them, because there are a lot of principles in those videos that will help a lot. That's why that's why I remember the first thing we started with is having a relationship with God.
Yeah.
Getting God involved.
Yeah.
Every steps of the 7 steps to marriage that you're going through, God has to be involved.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you will know for sure. If God is involved, there are things there's underlying things that are in the background that you cannot see. Only God can protect you if you are truly trusting in Him.
Yeah.
And that's why we have all these steps. First steps. Is God calling me to marriage? Am I ready? Am I prepared for marriage? Who should I marry? When counsel is needed?
Yeah.
All these things. We go through all these steps so that by the time you get to the engagement steps, all the preliminary ground have been done. And they have been, the person you with have been properly vetted. Now you end the courtship, everything is going well. All the boxes are being checked. Now you end the engagement. Now, in the engagement, you almost at the finish line. Well, not the finish line, but almost at the marriage line.
Yeah.
But there's still certain things that you need to know.
Okay. Let's dig deep into it, man.
Yes.
I want to know.
So first thing I want you to ask yourself, right? And this is kind of interesting. Because in the day and age that we are living in, right? You gotta ask yourself, right? It says before entering into a marriage, right? You gotta ask yourself, is this person that I'm about to get into the engagement with, is his life pure or is her life pure? So in this day and age, sometimes when we ask about this, right? I remember there was a conversation where they were asking, I saw on social media, where they were asking a young lady, does body count matter? And she was like, no. Body counts don't really matter to me or whatever, as long as it's not a crazy number or whatever. But the guy that was with her, they asked him the same question. And he was like, yeah, nah, man, body counts matter. And then she was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, look, if I'm gonna be with you, if I'm gonna take you serious, if you in your 20s, your body count has to be under 5.
I got no comments. I got no comments.
So when we ask the question, is his life pure? You gotta ask question about the person you gotta ask about his past, ventures.
Yeah.
Is he living a life that is pure, or was this person living a promiscuous life?
Yeah.
If so, okay, was it before, or was it doing when did he not know the Lord? And then the other question you gotta ask yourself, what was his past record like? The people that he's courted in the past.
Yeah.
How did those courtship, go about? How
did they end?
How did they end? All these things, some of these questions are important. Yeah. Now, another question that I have that I thought was interesting too was, is the love which he expressed of a noble, elevated character, or is it a mere emotional fondness?
How do you know the difference between these things, though? Like, how would you know if it's the love is noble, elevated, or emotional?
Well, there's certain words that comes out. If somebody says, "Look, man, I can't see myself living without you," we're not married yet. That sounds like infatuation.
Yeah. Or maybe just lies.
Yeah.
Maybe just lies.
Both.
Yeah.
The thing is, right? This is the thing, right? Is that person interested in you as the human being? Not just an idea of what you might be like or who you might be like.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Okay. Because people, a lot of times you see young people, they fall in love with the idea of love,
but not the person.
Not the person.
Yeah.
So the person has an idea of what they, love or whatever. They with you, they just fit you into that box, but they're not really getting to know you.
Yeah.
And which is why some of these questions are important to ask. Because it gets the person to open up and talk about themselves, and you also observing the person's character. How does he deal? Like in the previous videos that we did, when we talked about how you watch the young man, how he deal with his mother, how he deal with his sister. Watch the young lady, how she deals with her father, her brother. How does she treat the people around her? When you do group activities, how do the person act? How do the person fit into the interaction, and you could see people's character through doing different things with them.
Yeah.
Especially, we mentioned last time in the last video, kayaking, where you learn a lot about somebody. You can learn about how the person follow, how the
Teamwork.
person lead,
yeah.
how we're gonna be working together as a team. All these things are important to know before that next step of marriage.
Yeah.
Because in the engagement stage, right? I want you all to know, in the engagement step, even though you already engaged to someone, you can still break it off.
Yeah. Better have multiple engagement that doesn't work, man, than one failed marriage. So.
Yeah. It's better to have 1,000 engagement that doesn't work than to have one failed marriage. Because again, when we talk about engagement, marriage is for life.
Yeah.
It's a covenant. It's a commitment for life. And if you fail in that marriage, where something happened and the Bible doesn't give you ground for divorce.
And as you're mentioning that, we just want to highlight that the only thing the Bible allows for divorce, and even that is because of the hardness of heart. I think we probably mentioned it in a prior talk, is adultery. And not just like assuming, because you need proof. Like in the Bible, you need proof, witnesses and all that kind of stuff. So only adultery. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and you have to think about it when it comes to that engagement. That's what I'm saying. These questions are really important. I like these questions. Past record. Mm-hmm. That's one. Is his life pure? Mm-hmm. Right? And now we're speaking about is the love that he expressed of a noble, elevated character, or is he emotional fondness? So now you're looking at, okay, this is the way this guy lived in the past, or this girl, however they live in the past. Because the past can tell, even though people can change.
Yes.
And God can transform their lives. So even like the past. Trends. Yeah, trends. Because somebody can have a past where they had a lot of body counts or whatever, but they turn to the Lord, and you've been watching the last, you ask him, okay, how's the last few years been?
Yeah.
So have they been sober in a way, right? People can, whatever, but you can see a progression towards the good, right? But now you're asking, the other question is, okay, now we talk about the past, but is the life at the current moment pure?
Pure.
No, that's very important, right?
That's important.
And again, I like the love, because sometimes if somebody, like you were saying, somebody just telling you emotional words or whatever, you can tell easily they don't care about you. Like, first, let's somebody say, I love you, why do you love me? I just do. They can't really tell you anything about like, who you are. They can't describe like, what they love about you.
Exactly.
They already know that's emotional fondness. People are just saying things. They're just saying words
things, yeah,
that they think you would appreciate.
That's
but if somebody say, hey, I love you because I like how you do this, that.
Yes.
Then like this is somebody who's like thoughtful about what's going on about you. And if they're telling you like stuff that are real about you, then that's like they're in things that elevate you.
Mm-hmm.
Not things that like kind of make you whatever, but they're telling you stuff that brings you up higher.
Mm-hmm.
So these are like things to look at. I like these questions, man. So these are some of the questions like to ask when you are getting ready for engagement.
When you engage and you're getting ready to move that next steps.
Okay.
And when we talk about past record, right? It's not just who you've been with, and I think we kind of mentioned that in the past video. It's also medical record too.
Yeah.
Do you have?
We did.
Do you have illness that can potentially brings burden upon us in the marriage, or something that, something that it's good for us to know about because we're gonna have children together.
Yeah.
And most likely a lot of the illness now are hereditary. You can pass it on to your offspring. So we need to be clear. We need to know these things, right?
Yeah.
We also got to talk about finances.
Yes.
When we talk about past records, do you have loans? Okay, if you do, how much money? Garnishment,
child support,
all these things. We got to talk about all these things and how much do you owe?
Yeah.
Because once we get married, we are becoming one. Mm-hmm. So whatever debt you have now have also become my debt.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to talk about all these things, and we also have to talk about family history.
Yeah.
Family history, is there something in the family that down the generations that
generational curses,
right? Curses, that we deal with. We have to talk about all these things because sometimes people don't think these things are important, but these things are important because if you never talk about these things, once you get into the marriage, that's when you're gonna start finding out about certain things. Now things that are now affecting your marriage and you didn't know about.
Yeah.
Because had you knew about from before, it could have helped you in your decision making.
Man, if you approach a relationship like that, man, you will really get to know the person because you ask them a lot of deep questions.
Of course.
Because think about it, if we're speaking about family, we understand the person's background.
Of course.
Like, this would make relationships like
more solid
for real.
Yeah, because you know. You really know, you have a history. I mean, you can't not 100% know somebody, but okay, this is the family history. This is the trend. This is I have all the facts here. Now I can make a better decision with all the facts that I have. And it's vice versa for both parties. You
know what that make me think of? Like if you're looking if you're working for government or politics, like political appointments or whatever, right? Before they hire somebody for like a high level position, they do the security clearances. Background check. Because they're like, this position you're gonna have is a very serious position for national security.
Of course.
We cannot have anybody in this position, right? Of course. We gotta look at marriage like that. It's a serious position for eternal security.
Of course.
So the clearance has to be
clear.
Top level.
Yeah. One of the greatest decisions you're gonna make in life, or one of the most important decisions you're gonna make in life, is who you choose to marry.
Yeah.
So like you mentioned, so why not do all the diligence and have the proper, relationship background check in a sense.
Yeah.
So that you know who you're getting involved with, so that you know what you're gonna get yourself into. Because remember, marriage is a commitment for life. Once you're married,
that's it.
Like it's a yoke. It's a galling yoke. You are together. That's it. There's no looking back.
Yeah.
In fact, the word divorce should be a word once you marry that you take out of your vocabulary.
Throw it away.
Because somebody says when you put something so far away from your mind, it ceases to exist.
Yeah.
So if you put the word divorce so far away from your mind, when you commit to someone, then the word it no longer exists. Then you can focus on the person that you're gonna be with, and no matter what happens, you're gonna work it out and you're gonna move forward. Because we see in this day and age, people get divorced for all kinds of reasons.
All kind of stuff, bro.
We have what's the term they use when
irreconcilable differences.
Irreconcilable differences.
Yeah.
What's irreconcilable differences? It doesn't really have a thing. It's just that bunch of things that piles up, and the person's like, you know what? I can't deal with this person no more. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
No, marriage is a commitment for life, and when we get to the engagement stage, we have to ask these questions. So I have another questions, right? So another one is, has he the trait of character that will make her happy? And that's vice versa. Now, we talked about happiness before, right? It's not necessarily someone who makes you happy, right? You have to already be happy with yourself in the Lord.
Yes.
But what this question is pointing out is, can this person add to your happiness that you already have?
Yeah.
Or will this person bring misery? Because when you get into a marriage relationship, if you're with someone, right, you cannot have fun together with.
That's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good at all.
Because the courtship continue into the marriage.
Yeah.
That means you got to be able to do things together. You got to be able to have fun. And when I say have fun,
do I even like to be around the person?
Exactly.
Like,
when I say have fun, because
Yeah.
think about it, you're gonna be at home the first couple of years before children come into the pictures. You together at home, it's just the two of you.
Yeah.
I have to enjoy this person's company enough to where the two of us can be in the house and we're having a good time. And sometimes we see that people married, they love each other, but they don't like each other. They can't spend a long time together. I'm like, well, how you married? You can't spend time together.
Yeah.
What I mean by this is, even if you are doing nothing, just being in each other's company.
So, get like a practical
Should be
aspect
able
of
to
that.
enjoy
Let me ask you something. So, how would somebody be able to know? I know you just mentioned something right here, but how would somebody be able to know that this individual has character trait that would make them happy? Like, what should they look for?
Well, when you're spending time together, right? Do you enjoy each other's company? And then when I say by do you enjoy, can you talk about different things and actually enjoy the depth of the conversation?
Okay.
Enjoy the things that you are learning about this person. Enjoy the person's mind, who that person is.
And do you feel like you can be yourself?
You can be yourself. You can be totally yourself. This person.
Is it a safe place?
You're in a safe place. You
Okay,
can be
okay,
totally
okay.
yourself. This person accepts you
Okay.
for who you are, but not an ideal of person that they have in their head.
Okay.
So if you can find these things and you know, okay, this person has what it takes for me to continue to enjoy my happiness being with that person.
Okay.
All right, so we have more questions, right? Another one is, can she find true peace and joy in his affection?
Break that down. This is kind of,
Can she find true peace and joy in his affection? Now, we got to keep it a little bit PG 14 or PG 13 over here.
Yeah.
There's a saying that I've heard in other married couples that sometimes, most men, don't like to cuddle. It's only when they want something.
Mm-hmm. That's not good.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Affection, the person has to be comfortable to be close to you. The person has to be comfortable to be themselves around you, fully being themselves, and you accept them, and that the person can enjoy you showing them affection. Affection can be shown in many different ways. It's not just
it could be words. It could be all kinds of
It could
stuff.
be words.
Yeah.
It could be doing little things that are thoughtful for that person. But the greatest form of affection is actually understanding someone.
Yes, actually, that's where I was thinking. Like when I heard the quotation, can she find true peace and joy, and vice versa. I think like a lot of people speak about a woman being her husband's peace,
yes,
at home or whatever. So, if you're going through something, like, am I able to speak with that person and kind of like relate to some of the other thing? Is this person gonna tell me stuff that uplift me?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, make me feel like, re-energized.
Yeah.
Because let's say you come from the world and you feel beat down by the world. Now you speak to that individual, like, especially like we're talking like engagement over the phone. Is this person able to lift up that burden from me?
Yes.
And make me feel like, man, I matter to someone. You know what I'm saying? And I think, true peace, like you find peace being in that alone, no matter how crazy the world is going. But being next to this individual or talking to this individual give you a sense of peace.
Yeah, of course. Now that we're talking about this, like when I used to go to the park and play soccer with them boys, right? A lot of them boys will go to work, they leave their house at 8 o'clock, early in the morning, start work, 9 o'clock to 5. They get off work and they come straight to the park. We're gonna play soccer, right? If we finish playing soccer, when I'm going home, these guys stick around to play dominoes, hang out, or whatever, and they're going home at 11, almost midnight, after their wife already asleep.
That's crazy.
They just go home, take a shower, just hop in the bed. Tomorrow they do the same thing, and they're doing the same thing every day of the week.
Marriage can't be good. Marriage can't last like that.
And I was like, man, when do these guys have time to spend with their spouse and And from having little conversation with them, I realized that these guys do that because they're not safe at home, in a sense.
No peace.
When they're at home, they can't find peace because either she's always nagging, there's always something. It's like, you know what, to avoid all of this, I'm gonna go play soccer and then I'm gonna stay and hang out so I don't have to deal with her.
But some of these things in the courtship stage, in the engagement stage, had true diligence been made, you would have been able to tell like she's a nagging person.
Of course.
You would have been able to tell like all these different negative characteristics, and you would have said, okay, if I want to deal with it, then I'm going with my eyes wide open. I know what to expect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what it is, it's not so much that well, the Bible says, a nagging wife is not a good thing. It's like
you better be like in a desert than be in the house.
Be in a house with a nagging wife.
Yes,
so it's not a good thing. But I'm not also pushing down or putting down people who may have a little tendency of nagging. What I'm saying is, in the courtship, in the engagement process, right, in that whole process, mm-hmm. right, where you're learning about the person, you want to make sure you know these things. So going into the marriage, you already have an idea of who the person is and what you may face or you may be dealing with. So that's okay, and then you can choose whether or not you want to move forward knowing this person have this, or I'm not gonna be able to deal with this, while someone else may be able to deal with it, but maybe not me.
Yeah, like the engagement process is where you like everything's calmed down.
Yeah,
and now it's like a very thorough, like combing with like going through hairs. You know what I'm saying? To find out now, is this person? Am I gonna be good with this person?
With this person.
Now it's no longer okay, like this person, whatever. Like you're asking this. That's why, like
you're asking specific questions, deep questions. Yeah, those questions are good for engagement. In the courtship process, you're asking other types of questions so that you're learning more about the person's care. But now these questions you're asking in the engagement process is a little different because they're more in depth.
Yeah, because like you said, in the courtship stage, you already acquire a lot of information. It's like you have these piles of documents, right?
Of course. And
now you're finding out, okay, it's a court case now.
Yeah.
Is this individual guilty or innocent after have acquired all these documents?
Yes. All right. So another question, right? We can ask is, will she be allowed, or will he be allowed? Mm-hmm. But more also her. Will she be allowed to preserve her individuality? Or must her judgment and conscience be surrendered to the control of her husband? This is a very interesting question, because we see sometimes when people get married, right? The husband start imposing things on the wife.
Vice versa.
To where now this person cannot maintain their individuality, who they are as a human being. It's like now this person is suppressing themselves to appease the other person. And again, we're not talking about, if you're doing something reckless, your husband checked you, or vice versa, if you're doing something reckless, your wife checked you. I'm talking about who you are as a human being.
How would you be able to notice that, like to pick that up in the engagement or in the courtship?
Okay, I could give a small example to that. Let's say, for example, I'm someone who likes to joke. I like to have fun, right? Mm-hmm. During the courtship or during the whole courtship process, whatever, to all the way up to the point of engagement, I realized, the person who I'm courting she's telling me, I don't like when you make jokes. I don't like when you make jokes and everybody else is laughing. Mm. They're telling you little things like that. Mm-hmm. But it's a big part of who you are. Just to give an example, right?
Okay.
So now you start saying, okay, this person is beginning to want to dictate who I am, as opposed to, okay, embrace. And then again, I'm not talking about if you're making reckless joke. I'm talking about, you are a light person.
Or another thing I was going to say, if you're a friendly person.
You're a friendly person.
And, you're friendly, you come into a room and talk to everybody, that person, I don't like you being so friendly like that. That's a big problem.
That could be a problem.
Yeah,
that could be a problem. Yeah. Now, remember, we're talking about friendly in the sense of light friendliness, not in the sense of where we
speak like normal friendliness.
Normal friendly.
You speak to everybody.
Yes, yes.
But
just being kind, being gentle.
That person themselves, like they reserve, which is fine. But they would now they say like, I want you to be like this.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Once you start seeing this, you start seeing, okay, you know what? What else will this person, if I move forward, what else will this person prevent me from being able to do?
Yeah.
Let's say, for example, right? you're involved in ministry, and you're going out there, you sharing the word, but this person is not saying, I think you're doing a little bit too much with this ministry. In fact, I don't think you should go to church that often.
Whoa! You gotta cut it off.
We gotta be able to skip some weekends.
Nah, you gotta cut it off. That's too far.
Now you're seeing these things again, when you get to a marriage covenant, right? Whatever issue someone has in a courtship or in a dating process, in the courting process, that was small, in the marriage, this issue has magnified.
Yes.
Because now you're dealing with the person on a day-to-day, everyday basis, and you've seen the person for who they truly are. Whatever small issues they have, it becomes 10 to 100 times bigger.
Yeah.
So if you're already seeing these red flags from the engagement, from the courtship, okay, this person, moving forward with them, I'm gonna lose myself.
Yes.
In this whole marriage.
Yes.
And if all of these questions that we just talked about, right, you cannot find positive answers for them. You gotta start having reservations. Like, look, man, I don't think this is what it is. This is what it should be for me. Mm-hmm. Because these are questions that are in depth.
But what if? So after you find the answers to some of these questions, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you find, like, especially the last one we're speaking about, like, where the person is like maybe trying to go against your individuality or whatever, right? And let's say you say, hey man, do you speak to the person about these the responses that you have?
Well, you can address it, but again, in a courtship now, even if you address it, what's gonna happen is that the person is gonna change their behaviors to match yours for the time being.
That's exactly what I was saying. That's exactly why I asked that question.
Now they're gonna be fake.
Yeah.
You want the person to be who they are.
So
now there are certain things you can address in a courtship, not these.
That's what I'm saying. Because if I, for example, like, you're courting a girl, like I'm going to the engagement process, and I realize, like, let's say I'm like, this individual was outgoing or whatever, and she's saying like, no, I don't like you being so outgoing. Everybody talk to everybody. I don't like that stuff. And then now I realize, okay, I put that down. I say, look, this is a red flag for me. Mm-hmm. And then I go and says, look, man, I don't think we should be able to move forward in this like engagement for the marriage, because I feel like with this aspect, you're trying to take away my individuality.
Yeah.
Because of this and that.
Yeah, but you know what you can do? Not necessarily address saying, but you can ask for clarification. Okay. Oh, when you say this, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean just to get clarity on what exactly the person means? Because like when you say I'm too friendly, or you don't like, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean that you would rather that I don't talk to people at all and be exactly like you? Or do you mean that I can tone it down a little bit? Because there's a difference.
Yeah, because for example, like I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a person, right? Let's say you go to church, and like you go with that individual to church, and now you're meeting a lot of brothers and sisters at the church. They're talking to you, but that person now, they want you to just stay focused on them. Yeah. So they say, hey, look, man, you spent all your time. You didn't talk to me. You were talking to all your friends. That's the type of stuff I'm saying. That type of friendliness. Now, to me, that like it may appear like possessiveness.
Yeah, selfishness too.
Yeah, but then if you bring that issue to the person, they may say like, no, all I was saying is just want to spend more time with you.
Yeah.
So like some of these, that's why I asked you the question, like, because some of these things, if you bring up, like you mentioned earlier, the person probably gonna give a different interpretation of it.
Yeah.
That makes you feel like, oh, okay,
it's not a big deal. That's why I said you can ask for clarification. When you say this, baby, what do you mean? Do you mean this? Just to have clarity, because you want to make sure you're clear on the process, on the decision that you're about to make. Because and if you're trying to address it, and now the person's like, oh, you know what? Let me suppress how I truly feel about the situation, so that for the sake of moving forward with this engagement.
Yeah.
And now you've been fooled to get involved in a marriage that you should have never been in the first place.
Yeah.
So very important, right? So if you're watching this podcast, right, and you hear and you see these questions that we talked about, and and if you have any questions, you can leave a comment, under the comment section or whatever. We'll reply or whatever, and you can shoot us an email. What's the email for the podcast?
I think like the Days of Noah email. We may have to put it there. Like I don't think we have it.
Yeah, we'll have the email. We have the email on the screen of the video, and we can answer the question more in depth. But the main thing we want you to get from this podcast is that when you get to the engagement process, right? That means all the questions, right, that you have, there's no reservation at this point.
No.
Everything have been answered correctly. You have been wooed. The person also is wooing you. You know, they have been wooed as well. All the boxes are checked. You have no reservation. And if all these questions, the answers are positive, then by all means, move forward. We also want to make sure that it's clear as well. If these questions are not clear, the answers you get are not positive, where you have some reservation, by all means, break the engagement. Like we mentioned earlier before, it is better to break 1,000 engagement than to get in one wrong marriage and get a divorce.
So I'm just gonna be like a devil's advocate for a little bit. What if, because I know we went over probably 4 questions. What if just like one of them is a red flag? What if the other ones, like, they're good? Let's say this person is like past record is good, life is pure, they express noble, elevated love. He has character traits that make you happy, and you find peace and joy in his affection. But that person, I think the last two, they may be, because if that person is controlling, you may not find peace and joy
in their presence.
Okay, let's say 2 of them are a red flag.
It's a big red flag. If you cannot maintain your individuality, like that means who you are, and if you cannot find joy and happiness in that person, how is it gonna work? You're gonna be in misery. It's not gonna work. It cannot work. Because you don't genuinely enjoy that person, that person's company, and that person is trying to control who you are. So you can't really be yourself. So if you can't really be yourself, how long can you put up a front? Can you put up a front your whole life? I mean, has it been done? I don't know. Maybe it has been done where somebody lived a completely a life where all his friends and all his family, all the people close to him, he's been putting up a front. But who he really is,
that's gonna be difficult.
That's difficult to keep up with. And that's not what God calls us to. God calls us to be true to ourselves and true to Him. There are things, that I'm not saying you're looking for a perfect individual. No one is perfect. But you're looking for someone that is perfect for you. I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, as close as possible.
As possible.
You don't want to settle for stuff.
You don't want to settle for anything. You want to make sure you get the best that there is for you.
Take your time. Because one thing I'm gonna say, like, because sometimes, especially like in this day and age, people may feel like my time is running out. I gotta make a decision. I gotta choose this person. I gotta get married because my parents are putting pressure. The church are putting pressure. I have to.
I'm getting older.
Not when it comes to marriage.
Not when it comes to marriage.
You cannot allow pressure of society, whatever it is, to get to you. Like, you have to be sober-minded in making these type of decisions because of the consequences that may come as a result of a bad decision, of a bad choice.
Definitely. Definitely.
Right.
So I think this is all for our podcast today, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Just like these questions, I'll say them over again, just so everybody can know. His past or her past. You want to know the past. Now, that's one other thing I would say that's not necessarily disqualifying. Because that's the past, and the person can be transformed. But the person's current life. That one is serious.
Is his life pure?
Is his life pure? Is the love he expressed of a noble, elevated character, or is it mere emotional fondness? Has he the trait of character that will make you happy? Can you find true peace and joy in that individual's affection? Or will that person allow you to preserve your individuality or your judgment, conscience, or are they trying to control who you are? Ask these questions. And if you don't find the right answers, take it to God first.
In prayer.
And then maybe you have to
make that decision.
Because
cut it off.
Yes, because what's the whole series we're doing? It says from singleness
to maybe I do. Because not every courtship always end up in marriage. Not every engagement always end up in marriage.
Yes.
It needs to be the right person. Everything needs to align so that you can move forward.
Yes.
Now notice we didn't mention anything about the person's responsibility and finances, because we have already talked about all these things in previous videos. So if you have any questions, you can go back and watch all the videos. If you still have questions, then reach out to us.
Yes.
We'll be more than happy to answer.
And with that, this is Think About It. We are
Out.